Hey, I'm James from Smoking Dead Barbecue, and today I'm doing a first look at Kamado Joe's new line of carbon steel accessories. So whether these accessories are or are not for you, I have to say the fact that they even exist, I already love. Kamados to me are the most versatile cooker. If you can only have one grill, which is the normal situation despite what's going on around here, this is not the norm. You can do everything from pizza to smoking to grilling, and accessories like these just help add even more utility to already one of the most versatile grills on the market. I picked up this Karbon Steel Griddle at the beginning of the summer, and I've liked it so much that I've got two brand new additional carbon steel accessories to put through their paces over the coming months, including the wok, as well as what I'm really excited about, the Paella pan. So let's go through some pros and potentially cons of carbon steel in terms of how it fits into the product lineup. I, for example, already have a bunch of cast iron accessories, as well as my favorite, the soapstone. I love the soapstone for some things that are the exact opposite of what carbon steel does. One of the advantages of carbon steel is it's incredibly lightweight, so you're able to pick this up, maneuver it around absolutely no problem. So this is a fraction of the weight of my original cast iron wok from Kamado Joe, and much lighter than something like the soapstone. So not only are they light, they're also incredibly responsive to temperature changes. So for example, if we were doing a stir fry in this wok, which I haven't done yet with this particular pan, I've only been using the griddle for the last couple months, but even observing that, it is incredibly responsive to temperature changes. And this is something that carbon steel is world renowned for in professional kitchens. Is not only is it incredibly durable, it can sit on the heat all day without damaging the pan. These are rated up to 750 degrees Fahrenheit, but they are responsive to temperature changes. So if we need more heat in our pan to get a quick little simmer or a fry, we could drop down a level on our X accessory rack. And if we've overdone it, we've got too much temperature, unlike a soapstone, which is going to hold on to heat for hours once it's fully heat soaked, we're able to see an immediate temperature change. And I've confirmed that with the IR gun, just doing a couple little tests at different levels on my divide and conquer rack. If you've been cooking and maintaining cast iron for years, this will be old news for you. But if you've never owned and maintained cast iron, similarly to cast iron, carbon steel needs to be seasoned. You can already see a difference just looking even at my griddle versus the brand new carbon steel accessories like the Paella pan or the wok, where these have not yet been cleaned and seasoned. And just like with cast iron, you're going to do this by bringing an oil, a high temperature oil, up past its smoke point and repeating this process in order to get a great non-stick surface. If we don't do that, just like with cast iron, we can get a bit of a sticky surface, as well as potentially run into some issues with rust. So this is a common fate of metal products, where we need to build up a great seasoning to help protect them against the elements such as rust, as well as make sure that we have a nice non-stick surface to work with. And speaking of seasoning, this is the process where I discovered a few other nuances of building up great seasoning on something like carbon steel. Let's come over to our Big Joe Series 3 just to show you a couple examples of what I'm talking about with seasoning. So this is the cast iron reversible half moon grid, something that I've used in many videos, including as a panini press, where you can get this nice and hot and take advantage of the grid pattern in order to impart not only great grid lines, but help maybe melt the cheese or flatten out something like your pork belly panini. But if you were seasoning this particular accessory, I can fit this into my normal oven because we can fit it side to side, and or I could season it in the grill. And if I'm getting the temperatures too hot, depending on the size of the fire that I've got below it, I can move it lower, higher to make sure that it's in the right range for seasoning. On something like the griddle accessory, which sits on the top level of our divide and conquer rack, it gives us a great cooking surface, but for my normal size household oven, I can't fit this into the oven to do the seasoning process. So the only area that I'm able to do seasoning is inside of the Joe itself with a live fire, which can be a little bit tricky to get the right temperature in order to season the pan without burning the bottom. And so far, if I show you the bottom here, being subjected to the heat, I've not yet been able to master getting a perfect seasoning top and bottom. I think, again, I'll have to do that, maybe start at the bottom and season it upside down, which is going to potentially do the same thing here that you see on the bottom to the top surface, and then flip it to start working on building up my non-stick surface on the top of the pan. So space and seasoning for something as large as the griddle can be a little bit tricky. products like the wok will fit in the X accessory rack, and we'll be able to control our heat by, again, raising and lowering the X accessory rack. The only issue that I potentially imagine that we'll run into here, you can see, is the handle means that we are dome open at all times. And if I drop the X accessory rack too low, you see that I'm not able to get the pan in a Series 3 to sit flushly on the bottom of the X accessory rack. So on my Series 3, which is 4 inches taller, this wok will work best on 2 levels, where I can get sort of direct heat, and then if I'm getting a little bit too much heat and things are starting to burn or boil, bring things up to the top level to settle down the fire and the temperature of our pan, and both of those work absolutely no problem without the handle hitting our gasket. So there you have it. There's a quick first look at Kamado Joe's new carbon steel lineup, as I mentioned. And really the only gripe that I've had is seasoning the griddle pan. If you had the classic size, this wouldn't be a problem. The 18-inch diameter would fit in the oven no problem. So this is recognizably a little bit of a self-inflicted challenge in order to build up and maintain great seasoning on the griddle. But as you can tell, we're building a good surface here already by doing the seasoning process inside of our Kamado, and I'll have no issue fitting either the Paella pan or the wok inside my oven in order to get a great non-stick surface. Speaking of these two pans, let me know in the comments what you'd like to see. I like to review products for several months. I put them through their paces before doing a final verdict. So before we reach that point for any of these carbon steel products, let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see cooked. I've been dying to do something like KFC. No, not Kentucky Fried Chicken, Kamado Fried Chicken, do a shallow pan fry in the wok, as well as something like a seafood paella cook. But let me know down in the comments if there's other things you want to see to help put these products through their paces and help inform our final review of the carbon steel accessories. I'll look forward to your comments down below, but that's it for today. I'm James from Dad Barbecue signing off. Remember, don't be afraid to fire it up.